Welcome to our second half hour, everyone. Tonight we'll get to know the two candidates for mayor of Rexburg. While they're getting settled here on the set, let me just share a few interesting statistics about Rexburg's population. Let's take a look here. In the year 2000, the population was about 17,000. 2010 census up to 25,000. And 2015, most estimates put it at just about 30,000. So quite the growth there over the past 15 years since the turn of the century. Now, part of that is being driven by BYU Idaho. So let's take a look at some of the statistics there for BYU Idaho. 2001, when it became BYU Idaho, switched over from Ricks College, population of the enrollment there was 9,000. 2015, right now, the fall semester has about 17,000 students on campus. That's not counting the online students. By 2018, they expect that in the fall semester, they will have 21,000 students on campus, an increase of some 4,000 students. So, with that backdrop, let's introduce Christopher Mann and Jerry Merrill, both serving on the Rexburg City Council. Let's first of all get a quick welcome, gentlemen, first of all.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, quick introduction for both of you. We flipped a coin before, so Jerry, you got the first word. Just tell us quickly about yourself.
All right, well, I was born and raised in Blackfoot, out west of Blackfoot. I went to Snake River to high school, and I have lived in Rexburg for about almost 40 years now. I have a wonderful wife, Mary Ann, and 4 children that were all raised in Rexburg and went to Madison High School. 8 beautiful grandchildren, and I have a business, Merrill Quality Landscapes, and we've been operating that business for 35 years in Rexburg.
All right, great. Christopher Mann, tell us about yourself.
Thank you, Jay. I first came to Rexburg in 1971 as a student at Ricks College. I met my wife in the snack bar at Ricks College, and then we came back in 1981, and I was hired by the university to work in food services. So I actually retired just 3 months ago after 33 years, my office 30 feet away from where I met my wife. Been on the council for 10 years, and 3 children, and 3 grandchildren.
Oh, good for you.
Thank
So
you.
that gives you a kind of a quick introduction of these two gentlemen. Let's go back to you, Jerry, for our first question. With all those enrollment numbers and population numbers, there's no question that growth is really the big challenge facing Rexburg. With all that growth, it's, you know, the construction, traffic, infrastructure, it's got to be a tremendous challenge to handle. Let me ask you first, how do you handle the growth challenge?
Well, growth is a challenge, but luckily it's a good problem to have, but it does bring its issues. And we feel like we need to be very proactive in planning, having infrastructure in place so that we can handle the growth. Not only trying to bring in new businesses to be able to provide jobs for people, good jobs, and also being able to make sure that our apartments are located in places that make sense and protect our family neighborhoods so that people don't feel threatened that way. So.
All right, and Chris, tell us what your thoughts are.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, growth is a great thing to have, but growth without infrastructure development is a recipe for disaster. So we have to make sure we're growing right, growing strong, and fulfilling the needs and desires of the community at the same time. On the council, about 7 years ago, I helped create the pedestrian zone. In that pedestrian zone today are 13,000 people living in that pedestrian zone because they're across from campus, and that's what we want, a walking community. We also have to have growth that brings in good jobs and reasons that people's children can stay in Rexburg.
Okay. I've been seeing some video of BYU Idaho, the students there, which has really grown, and they're really the reason, I think, that you really have all this growth. Obviously, there has to be a relationship with the university here. So what can you do? I mean, how much responsibility, Jerry, does the university bear in helping deal with this growth, and how can you build up a better, well, not that there's a bad relationship, but how would you build that relationship with them?
Yeah, BYU Idaho is definitely the major driver of our economy, and you know, we have a great relationship with BYU Idaho, and as President Clark Gilbert, the new president, said, Rexburg is just a great place to have BYU Idaho. In fact, it would be hard to have it in a lot of other places. But you know, the opportunity to work with the campus administration is there, and I'm excited to do that. I've met President Gilbert. I've met his family. They're all genuine people, and he has a great staff. And to be able to work with them to iron out issues that might come up, you know, that's something that I look forward to a lot. And I think that's one of the things I've been good at in the past, is I've spent 4 years on the City Council, and that is bringing people together to solve problems, listening to both sides of an issue, and coming to a good decision. And that's something that I would like the opportunity to continue.
Okay, Christopher, what's your feeling of this relationship?
Yes. For 127 years, there's been a great relationship between Ricks College, or BYU Idaho, and the City of Rexburg. The City of Rexburg needs BYU Idaho, and BYU Idaho needs the City of Rexburg. We need to grow together so that we can provide the infrastructure for their growth. You showed us the growing numbers.
Oh,
we have to
amazing.
prepare for that, Jay, but we have to do it wisely. We cannot destroy our family neighborhoods as we do that. I too have worked there. I understand it. I think that there's great potential there. We need to go to our graduating students and say, hey, start your businesses in Rexburg. Don't just graduate. If you're the brightest and the best, we want to help you start your businesses here. It's been a great relationship. With Mayor Mann, it will maintain a great relationship.
Just to follow up on that, with these 4,000 new students coming, will that mean a lot more building, or can they you know, handle that with what they have?
Well, that's up to the college on as far as their academic buildings. I think that they're trying to make education less expensive for these students. It's also up to the city, though, to make sure that there's some community housing, but that we build it wisely, that we increase the pedestrian zone area, or at least look at what we can put in there. We've had some great new businesses in that pedestrian zone, and I'm happy about that.
And your thoughts, Jerry, about this growth, how to handle these 4,000 new students?
Yeah, I think our plan has been good. We've tried to keep the single students as close to campus as possible. And then the married student housing, or community housing, we call it, comes a little further out. And I've been an advocate of allowing that more density in that housing so that we can keep that housing as close to campus as possible. I think it's dangerous to limit that too much in the places where we really want it, because if we do, that will encourage developers to try to move further out into the neighborhoods or around the periphery of the community. And if we do that, that's going to force more traffic problems driving through town. It's going to cause more parking problems. It's going to cost the taxpayers more money to try to run roads and sewer lines and things out there. And so I think it's really important for us to be able to allow the density in close to campus where we need it.
Now, speaking of transportation,
I have a response to that. I agree that we need to have community housing, but we have built infrastructure on 7th South and University Boulevard to carry the housing. I do not want the community housing to come into our family neighborhoods and destroy the uniqueness of our family neighborhoods. And some of the things that the council has approved without my vote have actually been over Highway 20 into a very residential neighborhood, and there's no need for high-density housing that far away.
Is that a difference of opinion here?
Well, yes, it is, and I have a response to that, and that's exactly why I voted the way I have, because I think we need to allow the density closer to campus, and exactly what we're talking about. By not allowing density in close, that's forced growth out on the other side of Highway 20, like Chris says, and then people have to have a car, and then they have to drive, and that's a problem.
But
and that's dangerous to think that way.
But they're jumping over vacant lots to go out to find cheaper dirt next to a rural residential neighborhood of Willowbrook. And I think that was a mistake.
Okay. Well, let me talk about this transportation issue. We have all these students, and is there some feeling that they have a right to have more public transportation to get, you know, from campus to the new Walmart, for example? I'm kind of mixed up where we are. Let's go with Jerry first on this one.
Well, you know, there have been talk about doing public transportation, but I feel like right now we've got actually several private companies that have popped up, and they're doing giving rides. They're taking people out to the different stores. They're bringing people out to their businesses. So at this point in time, I really don't think we want to look at doing public transportation right now. We need to let the private sector do what they can and be successful with it. And I think that's a lot better way to go.
Okay.
I would agree with most of that. We had a presentation last night about the Zim ride in Rexburg, which is a way for students to help each other, kind of like Uber, but a little bit more campus friendly.
Yeah.
And also, if if people want people to go to their businesses, then the businesses should be providing that transportation. It cannot be on the back of our taxpayers.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, I just have a couple more questions that I really wanted to get to, but let's take a short break right now and come back with Christopher Mann and Jerry Merrill, the two candidates for mayor of Rexburg. All right, so the city council doesn't always see eye to eye. You two don't always see eye to eye. One of those was recently we had the lifting of the ban on liquor sale vote in Rexburg. You each voted differently. Christopher, tell us first how you voted and why.
Yes, I voted against liberalizing our liquor laws in Rexburg. When I first ran for city council 10 years ago, a woman came and asked me, Mr. Mann, are you going to liberalize our drinking laws? And I hadn't thought about that, but I made a commitment to her that I would not. I believe that our liquor laws were working. I saw no reason to change them just because one business asked us to change it. I saw a room full of people who asked us not to change it, and I believe that we should have listened to the people. I voted no. I was about changing it. I'm adamant and proud of my vote.
You were in the minority there.
I was. It was a 4-2 vote.
Okay, and Jerry, you voted affirmatively.
Yes, that's right, and I voted for that, Jay, because actually most of the people that I talked to were in favor of that. And the reason why is because I think most people felt like, if you think about the culture and the values that we have in Rexburg, it wasn't going to change anything because 99% of the people aren't going out to dinner on Sunday anyway. So it wouldn't change the values of the community, and I think time has shown that it hasn't. However, in supporting our businesses, I think it was important to be able to let them be able to serve their customers, and it wasn't just one business, it was actually several businesses. We had trouble with people walking out of our restaurants, people checking out of our hotels and going other places, and so I have a young single mom that I know that works at a restaurant there in town, and she's working hard to support her family, and when that tip gets up and walks out the door, it's not really working very well for her. And so, I think in order for our businesses to feel supported, I think that was important to be able to allow them to do that.
All right. Well, why don't we just take a moment and have a closing statement from each of you, and let's see, you have the opening statement first, so Christopher Mann gets the first closing statement.
Well, thank you so much. I am a candidate for mayor because I firmly believe I have a vision for Rexburg that will provide growth and prosperity and will preserve the very best of Rexburg while we grow and do that. I want to promote new businesses. I want to promote more retail options. We have $4.3 million a month leaving Rexburg to go shopping in other towns. We need to work on that. I also want to sustain the businesses that are also here. I have always been and will always be passionate about protecting your family neighborhood. You can count on me. I've been there in the past. I will be there in the future. I have honed and developed the skills we need at City Hall to manage the resources, personnel, and the citizens' hard-earned tax dollars. I ask for your vote on November 3rd.
Okay, Mr. Merrill.
Thank you. Thank you, Jay. Thank you for having us. We appreciate it.
You bet.
Rexburg is a great place, and we have a bright future. But two of the issues that Chris and I vote differently on are two of the most important issues that we face. First, business development. It's really important for us to be able to develop new business and to be able to support our existing businesses. Each time in the last 4 years that a business issue has come up that would make it easier for a business to succeed, I have voted for those issues, and we've differed on those. The second thing is planning and zoning issues, and we do have differences there, but I think we need common sense decisions on those to be able to allow our student housing to be close to campus so that they can ride their bikes, they can walk. We don't force development out further so that they have to have cars, because that's just going to compound parking issues, traffic issues, and infrastructure costs. And those apartments help pay a lot of our taxes, and so that helps us to keep our taxes lower for the rest of us. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay. Last sentence.
Okay, last sentence I'll say, and I think Rexburg needs a mayor who's enthusiastic and has great ideas. Now, how many people have gone out and bought a school bus, painted our school colors, and drive it around town? honking the horn to get people to come to the football games. So if you want somebody with great ideas, a lot of enthusiasm, and will do the things that I have talked about, vote Jerry Merrill for mayor on November the 3rd, the real man for mayor of Rexburg. Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Jay.
it.
Thank you.
And we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Election coming up in just a few